Hey, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to yet again another video. For today, I'm going to be talking about the roster change that Elevate announced a little while ago. It's not been like super recent, but it has been a few days ago. Kind of want to talk about that, my opinions on the decision of what they made, the situation that we're in now, and I'm not going to be talking about the other roster changes. I know there were a few more, and I'm trying to tailor each video to its specific topic, so people who are like, wanting to see only this particular view, they can kind of watch that in this video. I'm going to make a full video based on everything, but until people start asking for that, not going to be making that. So essentially, there was an announcement actually kind of yesterday for me, depending on when the video goes up, I'm not exactly sure. There was an announcement, essentially going on Twitter. Players basically kind of tweeted out and let people know that Loony is going to be playing for Elevate. That obviously caused question of, well, who is Loony going to be filling in for? And that is going to be Nagafen. Now, like I said, I'm not going to talk about not going to talk in depth about who Nagafen joined or what the implications of that are, but he ended up joining alongside of Nameless, Study, Havoc. That should be interesting to see how those guys work out. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about that. I know I've said like 20 times. So the addition of Looney for Nagafen, right? Because, of course, everyone knows the roster now is going to be Felony, Facento, Aqua, and now Looney. So new roster coming into the game, kind of puts it a little bit in question, right? Because, of course, everyone knows, at least this is just, tailored to what they are. That Team Revenge, what they were in the beginning, was based off of chemistry. And in the past, I've kind of talked about, essentially how loose this team was. Like, essentially, that team, if you want to add Felony and, in place of Remy and Pass, this team is based off of chemistry. And the reason why they worked so well together, how they could all go negative except for Aqua and Black Ops 3, or even all go negative except for maybe a few players, Nagafen and Aqua back in AW, is that they knew what each other were doing. And people would say, oh, they're playing so random, they don't even know what they're doing. It was almost like they played random, but they knew what each player was going to do. Like, that's the thing that you build with chemistry, is that a certain player that you play with for so long can do something random to everyone else who's watching, including the commentators, including the analyst, but they're not random to its teammate because they know exactly how they play. They've played with that player before. They've gone into search and destroy tournaments where that guy's gone and done something. You know so much about each other that the randomness isn't random to you because you know everything about that guy. You know exactly everything that guy's going to say, calling out, complaining, whatever it is. You know so much about a player for playing with him after a long period of time. And that was a question that I personally immediately arose whenever they ended up releasing Remy and picked up Felony and changed for that, because it seems that all the roster changes that they have made, in my opinion, have been to the lack of slaying. Now, they can put up the results in AW. Perfect example. You don't have to mark any other thing down in AW, except for the fact that they were runners-up at COD Champs. They lost to Denial, of course, but still, they were runners-up at COD Champs. Nothing can be put in question under that TR roster because they performed when they had to. Whenever other players, when other teams didn't really perform, they were there, and you can't take anything away from them. They were the second-best team at that event without question. Same thing with this year. They had some amazing placements, right? They had some amazing placements. I'll read off a few here in a second and kind of go into that more in depth. But when you question the roster, you say those three guys, Nagafen, Facento, and Aqua, when you put them together on a team, they can get you LAN results. And I'm going to go in depth and talking about their online performances compared to LAN, so on and so forth, kind of go over that stuff. But to me, I'm a huge fan of the original roster, the original TR. I'm a huge fan of the addition of Felony over Remy. I've been a fan of this group of guys, which is now 2 instead of the original 4, for a very long time. And I really want to go in depth with talk about this team. I was actually watching like a 3 or 4 hour stream that Looney was doing this morning, trying to get a little bit of an idea, a little bit of a feel what they were doing in certain tournaments. And granted, they were playing against amateurs, but it's always good to see players in their original stages. Maybe it's the honeymoon period, whatever it may be, but it's interesting to see their communication and how Looney influences the game prior to Nagafen. So we're going to be talking about that. And I'm going to first start by saying I thought that a roster change might be coming. I did kind of personally, I didn't tweet this out, there's no record of this, but being straight up, I really did think that a roster change would arise with them, if not after Vegas or after the first event of of Infinite Warfare. I was thinking a roster change might arise because, granted, they're having great LAN performances. No, an organization isn't going to be mad that a team is placing top 3, top 4 consistently, for event after event after event. Now, coming into Infinite Warfare, game's different. Totally understand that. Things are going to be totally different in IW compared to Black Ops 3. Totally get that. However, though, it seems that the losses that they have suffered over more than just one title, it wasn't just Black Ops 3 where this happened, where you're thinking, well, why did they make a change? Because, so on and so forth. It's only happened one title. A different title can change things. However, they've had this same problem from AW now into and then into Black Ops 3, which was the lack of slang. You know, Aqua's a guy who could put up numbers. 100% Aqua could put up numbers. And the main problem with this roster, and the reason why he was always dropping numbers compared to the other players, was the roles, right? The reason why, and this is just a personal opinion, and I believe they kind of put this on record, but it's mostly a personal opinion. The reason to get rid of Remy was due to roles, because in the beginning of Black Ops 3, I think I cast over one of the first competitive games at the tournaments that they had played in. Facento was the main AR. Facento was the main assault rifle player, did really nothing else, and then Aqua kind of slowly came into that role as time would go on. Remy was the hardcore objective support guy the entire time. Nothing at all was different. Aqua, I think, might have been an SMG at that time. I don't even remember what the exact roles were, but Facento completely changed his role from an AR heavily, like Scythe main. Like, he was one of the first guys that I saw use the Scythe, and I was like, oh, this is one of the main specialists to use in the game, until obviously the Tempest would kind of come in and substitute it out. But once that roster change was made for Remy to get out, the reason why that was happening was because of roles, right? Because of the roles were, you had Facento, and you essentially had Remy, who were doing the exact same thing, or they were trying to do this exact same thing, which is a sub-support, sub-objective role, which Remy wasn't used to switching out, so he obviously had to leave the team, because Facento was apparently doing a little bit better. They obviously decided to keep him in place due to, certain things. I think it was because Remy really wasn't as dedicated as Facento, according to what was said, which is all hearsay, obviously, so I'm not going to talk about that exactly. But the decision to get rid of Nagafen, to me, is obviously a huge one compared to getting rid of Remy. And it might be the role situation again. I think this decision to get rid of Nagafen, to me, is in part of slang. Not that he's not a good slayer, but it's not his main frame. It's not like I look at a player like Nagafen and I say, well, what's his strong suit? Slaying. Not necessarily. It's his craftiness. It's his movement that he's had in previous titles. It's his search and destroy ability. It's his sniper ability. I think it was kind of put into question, what kind of role does he play? Does he play an SMG role? Does he play the AR role? I mean, he was at times, he was a secondary AR, then he became the third SMG, and it kind of went back and forth. And I think toward the end of the game, it really wasn't wholly solidified which player was in which role, because of course Felony coming from CLG was obviously a little bit of a momentum change because he was playing a certain role, and that team kind of came over, and it kind of worked out because he was the guy who could get the slaying done. I saw him perform at UMG South Carolina. I was like, this guy is a slayer. Like, he can get kills done. He might not be the most known player. He's called an online player. He used to be an S&D star. However, he can get things done. He also fits the role for what Elevate at the time needed. So now adding Loony, to me, is what I think is really good for this team. And I'm not saying that Nagafen at all was the problem to the fact that they weren't, getting better than Optic, or besting out Optic Gaming, besting out Envy, besting out the rosters they had problems with, maybe even Rise if you want to throw them in there during their run. However, though, I think that they did need a different personality in the roster, which I think Loony provides. I like Loony a lot. I think, the decision for Rise, and of course for them to go their different ways, I know, a lot of things kind of went into that. Not going to go, obviously, into depths of that talk. But I think adding Loony to this team adds a different element, which I think is what they really did need. Loony adds, to me, he's like a different type of communicator. He's like, this is what needs to be done. He's a really good in-game talker. Not saying that Nagafen isn't, but I know over time throughout Black Ops 3, he kind of came into his own. He wasn't as shy as he used to be. He's streaming now. He's, playing with courage and stuff in his stream. He's almost like a major personality now, and he wasn't used to be like that. He was very reserved. And not that was the issue that they had, but adding Loony to the team, they were already, I think this roster's already going to work out as far as chemistry is concerned, which that'll remain to be seen, but I think it will. But he also provides, like I said, a different type of communication. And I said, I think Elevate is a good team because, like I said, they know exactly what each other is going to do because they play with each other for so long. Nagafen's the reason why they know all these uplink spots, all these search and destroy spots. He knows what his role is at the beginning of the game. I feel like he has a good understanding of the game 3 or 4 days into playing it, and that's like a really, really interesting thing to see from someone. And I think, honestly, Loony, in my opinion, adds kind of an order to the chaos that is Elevate at times. We'll push certain things, we'll kind of wrap around, we'll do bait and switches that aren't really necessary, that aren't super necessary. They'll do out of the ordinary stuff, which I think is good. I think Loony can kind of provide something to that, but he's also, to me, kind of make that squiggly line or that out of shape line and kind of make it more straight. Like, this is the focus that we need to have. He is, in some ways, kind of like a captain in some cases when he automatically gets added to this roster. I'm not sure who the captain is right now or anything like that. However, though, I do know that he's going to kind of provide order to that chaos, which I think is what they needed. I love the chaos that they provided, and I think it was good, but it obviously got them to the placings that they did, which is obviously going to lead me to what I have. So I'm going to be reading out this book. That's what I've been reading. I actually this is like my caster book that I have. It's called The Writer's Block. Looks like like a wood block. So I'm going to read you guys off the tournaments that they played while they were with Remy, which was UMG South Carolina, 9th through 16th. Now, obviously not a good placing. Season 1 regular season, they ended up placing 4th. Season 1 playoffs, they placed 3rd through 4th. And after that, that's when they made the roster change to add Felony to the team. These are all going to be land placings from here on out, except for the Season 2 regular season, which I'll mention. MLG Anaheim, 2nd. MLG Orlando, 3rd. I should say Season 2 regular season, which was 9th. And then Call of Duty XP, which was 3rd. So you can kind of get a little bit of an idea, right? 2nd, 3rd. Season 2 regular season, 9th. Which obviously was a unfortunate thing that ended up happening to them in their online performances compared to LAN. Which to me, like I said, this is to me a perfect example. I'm not sure if it has to do with connection, whatever. That totally is an additive. Well, without a doubt, take that in consideration. However, I will add to that point that I think the reason why it was a little bit slacked, no pun intended there, that their online performances were a little bit slacked, was due to the fact that they have a very interesting relationship with one another. A lot of teams who do play with one another are very serious. They are good friends, but they're not so close that, hey, we'll kind of chill out. We don't have to worry about this particular game. We can kind of let this one slide. And these are all younger players. These guys aren't that old, right? And I think Looney, while he isn't old, he is a really good additive to this roster because he's willing to be serious. Not the other guys aren't serious, but he's willing to take things more seriously. Hey, guys, you know what? Maybe we should play our best. Maybe we should be focusing on this matchup because if we lose this, we could be in a really awkward situation when it comes down to certain performances. Looney is a very passionate player, and he knows what he wants. I mean, I remember certain things from AW whenever Octane left his particular team. He was very, very passionate about not wanting to play with him. He hated the fact that he was left, and he wants to win tournaments, which I think is what Elevate needs. They need a hungry player who can kind of straighten up the team because they have something that works for them that even some people can't even tell what it is. They were, to me, the always consistent underdog, that they were so consistent in tournaments, but everyone always had them as the roster who wouldn't make it in the top 4. They wouldn't make it to the top 5, but they always did it on LAN, and they were willing to prove everyone wrong from online then to LAN, to place 9th in the Season 2 regular season, and then to go into MLG Orlando, place 3rd, to go into Call of Duty XP, and place 3rd. Those 3 guys, Nagafen included, were always so consistent. And it's, to me, unfortunate that Nagafen does have to leave the team. I don't know the full additives of the reasoning why, or the reason if there were any player morale issues that kind of went along with it. But I think the addition of Looney will be good to the team. It's yet to see how they're going to perform, obviously, when it comes down to regular tournament play, when it comes down to MLG Vegas. But I think him added to this team will improve them a lot. And I think he provides a lot of what they were needing from a Slayer point of view because he is a really good Slayer. He can also do the objective role. Maybe he kind of frees up Facento to do something. He can kind of play off Facento really well, and that's also going to leave Felony to kind of be that secondary AR if it is similar to Black Ops 3, where to now it's kind of looking like an AR-heavy game. But that obviously can change in an instant. A patch can change everything in a second's notice, which is kind of scary about Call of Duty. But of course, I think they're willing to adapt to it really well. I think that Looney and Vicento are going to be playing really well off of one another. So if you guys are curious, feel free to leave your comments down, obviously in the comments below, as far as your opinions on the new roster change. I will be making a video probably soon about the roster of Nagafen, Nameless, Study, and Havoc, which I think is a very interesting one, to say the least. But feel free to let me know down your guys' thoughts. Like I said, down in the comments, if you guys did enjoy the video, feel free to leave a like. And kind of like I said, feel free to tweet me, even at LandoCod on Twitter, and also subscribe to me on YouTube if you guys would like to see more content from me. That has been it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'll see you guys later. Have a great day. Peace out.